Jeffrey.
Hello, Allison.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, indeed.
I feel like we should address what's happened in the months since we've seen you.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for employees of major American news networks who, while once respected, have since had their reputations tarnished by public scandal.
What was your reaction when you were fired?
I didn't really have one.
Number 10. Don Lemon.
I was informed this morning by my agent that I have been terminated by CNN. I am stunned.
This Edward R. Murrow award-winning journalist was a fixture on CNN from 2006 until 2023, appearing in various capacities before being awarded Don Lemon Tonight, his own show, in 2014. Following its cancellation in 2022, CNN This Morning would ultimately serve as his final role at the network before his unceremonious, painfully public firing in 2023.
After 17 years at CNN, I would have thought that someone in management would have had the decency to tell me directly.
The cause was a series of on-air remarks made by Lemon that were perceived as misogynistic, as well as a reported history of similar behind-the-scenes behavior at CNN. A 2024 deal with Elon Musk's X, which would see Lemon hosting a new show on the platform, was quickly scuttled following a heated, awkward interview with the billionaire.
So you said if they kill the company, it's them. But doesn't the buck stop with you? I mean, you're
Don, I have to say, choose your question carefully. There's 5 minutes left.
Number 9. Dan Rather.
Evacuation of all islands and low coastal areas along the Louisiana and the upper and central Texas coast has not been completed. Evacuation should be hastened before it is too late. Every precautionary measure should be taken now to protect life and property against dangerous winds and tides.
One of the most legendary and respected news anchors in the history of American television, Rather first rose to national prominence in 1961. After his reporting on the highly destructive Hurricane Carla reportedly saved as many as 350,000 lives. 2 years later, in 1963, Rather covered the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, earning him CBS's coveted White House correspondent position in 1964.
The films we saw were taken by an amateur photographer who had a particularly good vantage point just past the building from which the fatal shot was fired. The films show President Kennedy's open black limousine making a left turn.
Rather, who then enjoyed decades of public trust and admiration, was suddenly thrust out of the spotlight in 2005 when he presented unverified documents live on air that challenged then-President Bush's record of military service. The fallout saw Rather fired the following year, only returning to CBS in 2024 for an interview with Lee Cowan.
We reported a true story. There are many questions about George Bush. Was he AWOL, absent without leave? Did he desert? Because he disappeared for a year. If you're an American soldier or airman in Afghanistan today and you walk off the base for even a couple of days, you have to be accountable and you have to pay consequences.
Number 8. Brian Williams.
So last week on Nightly News, Williams recounted a moment from his time embedded with the U.S. Army during the Iraq invasion.
The story actually started with a terrible moment a dozen years back during the invasion of Iraq, when the helicopter we were traveling in was forced down after being hit by an RPG.
Sometimes a career-damaging scandal can unfold rapidly. Other times, a seed sown years before can come back to bite you. Such was the case with NBC Nightly News anchor Brian Williams, who'd started in 1993 as a correspondent and was later promoted to anchor in 2004.
One of the crew members of that helicopter challenged Williams with this Facebook post. Sorry, I don't remember you being on my aircraft. I do remember you walking up about an hour after we had landed to ask me what had happened.
Williams was accused of misrepresenting a 2003 account of an Iraq war story, in which the anchor claimed to have been a passenger on a military helicopter that was attacked. In February 2015, Williams made an on-air apology in which he admitted to lying about his presence on the helicopter, for which he was suspended and later demoted to the position of breaking news anchor for MSNBC.
On this broadcast last week, in an effort to honor and thank a veteran who protected me and so many others after a ground fire incident in the desert during the Iraq War invasion, I made a mistake in recalling the events of 12 years ago. It did not take long to hear from some brave men and women in the air crews.
Number 7. Megyn Kelly.
Santa Claus should not be a white man anymore. And when I saw this headline, I kind of laughed and I said, oh, this is so ridiculous. Yet another person claiming it's racist to have a white Santa. you know? And by the way, for all you kids watching at home, Santa just is white, but this person is just arguing that maybe we should also have a black Santa. But, you know, Santa is what he is.
The firebrand former Fox and NBC News host is no stranger to controversy and intense public scrutiny, often resulting from her unfiltered, unapologetic takes on hot topics. Such scandals have included a widely criticized 2013 instance in which Kelly was adamant in her belief that both Santa Claus and Jesus Christ are white, and crucially for our video today, a deeply cringeworthy statement about blackface on Megyn Kelly today.
And I want to begin with 2 words. I'm sorry. You may have heard that yesterday we had a discussion here about political correctness and Halloween costumes. And that conversation turned to whether it is ever okay for a person of one race to dress up as another.
In October 2018, Kelly made remarks that appeared to condone the disgraced practice, saying, "When I was a kid, that was okay as long as you were dressing up like a character." Days later, Megyn Kelly Today was canceled, and NBC formally severed ties with her in January 2019.
I defended the idea, saying as long as it was respectful and part of a Halloween costume, it seemed okay. Well, I was wrong, and I am sorry. One of the great parts of sitting in this chair each day is getting to discuss different points of view. Sometimes I talk and sometimes I listen. And yesterday I learned.
Number 6, Charlie Rose.
Bill Clinton, after the New Hampshire primary, went out front and had a press conference, and he said, even though he came in second, said, "I'm the comeback kid."
That's right.
And look what happened to Bill Clinton.
Right.
Now, if you could translate that for you, where would it be? Where would it take you to? What would be the equivalent of reaching the White House for you?
There was a time when the name Charlie Rose commanded respect from American audiences, owing to his beloved 1991 PBS interview program, which shared his name. Known as a forum for thoughtful, intellectual conversation and debate about hot-button issues, Charlie Rose often starred well-known public figures, including celebrities and politicians.
Has the diversity of your own ethnic background made you a better political animal?
Yes. I think that having come out on the other side of it, starting off, it's tough.
Rose's show featured interviews with every U.S. president, starting with Jimmy Carter. Accused of 35 counts of grave misconduct starting in 2017, Rose was quickly removed from his position as co-anchor of CBS This Morning, and his self-titled talk show was immediately pulled from the air by PBS and Bloomberg Television.
In a statement, CBS News President David Rhodes said, "Despite Charlie's important journalistic contribution to our news division, there is absolutely nothing more important in this or any organization than ensuring a safe, professional workplace."
Number 5. Bill O'Reilly.
The reason, though, McGurk, they want Meatless Mondays in L.A. is so everybody's healthier. Then you eat a little fish, you eat a carrot, whatever.
That is one of the motivations. But this is Bloomberg on blow. And why Mondays? Because of the alliteration. What's next? Tater tots on Tuesdays are going to take away Wienerless Wednesdays?
Much like his fellow Fox News personality Megyn Kelly, O'Reilly was perhaps more famous for his controversial comments and public feuds than for his actual journalism and hosting. Claims of misconduct against the fiery commentator stretch back to as far as 2004, in which O'Reilly sued Andrea Macris, a former producer on his show, the O'Reilly Factor, for extortion after she had claimed that he had subjected her to a lewd phone call.
What was the exact reason you were given, or your representatives were given, by people at Fox News for your firing?
There was no reason. They had a contractual clause that they could pay me a certain amount of money and not put me on the air. And they exercised that.
But why did they exercise that? What was the reason they said they were exercising that?
Although Macris and O'Reilly reached a settlement out of court, renewed claims of misconduct against O'Reilly cropped up in 2017, in addition to several lawsuits. Overwhelming public backlash led to Fox canceling the O'Reilly Factor. O'Reilly has since attempted a comeback with the No Spin News podcast.
You said at the time you did absolutely nothing wrong.
Correct.
Do you stand by that?
I do.
And so did you provide Fox News any evidence, any information that you think could have changed their mind as to what you were guilty or not guilty of?
My legal team was very aggressive in putting forth our point of view, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Number 4, Chris Cuomo.
What was your reaction when you were fired?
I didn't really have one.
Brother to disgraced former New York Governor Andrew, Chris Cuomo came under fire for his attempts to shield his brother from further fallout in the wake of Andrew's December 2020 accusations of misconduct. This was in addition to the ex-governor's perceived mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic in the state of New York.
Cuomo says he's never smeared anyone. He never went after any of his brother's accusers. Plus,
The Attorney General's office never accused him of that. But the documents, especially the text messages between Cuomo and his brother's aides, showed a level of coziness with the governor's staff that was alarming to many.
The scandal came to light in May 2021 when Cuomo was reported to have advised his brother on how to handle his situation. This included providing Andrew with information on his accusers gleaned from Chris's media connections. Although Cuomo has maintained that he never attempted to sway CNN's coverage of his brother in any way, he was dismissed from the network in early December 2021.
You know, there'd been so much negativity, so intense, for so long, that I didn't see coming. That, I don't know if I were numb or whatever it was, but it was just one more thing that now I was going to have to deal with. And, you know, it's complicated.
Number 3, Tucker Carlson.
When was the last time you heard a legitimate debate about any of those issues? It's been a long time. Debates like that are not permitted in American media. Both political parties and their donors have reached consensus on what benefits them, and they actively collude to shut down any conversation about it.
Carlson, the infamously outspoken host of Fox News' Tucker Carlson Tonight, was abruptly dismissed from the network and his show canceled on April 24, 2023. The move to fire the wildly popular Carlson was met with bewilderment from both those in the world of television media and audiences, as well as from the former host himself.
Suddenly, the United States looks very much like a one-party state. That's a depressing realization, but it's not permanent. Our current orthodoxies won't last. They're brain dead. Nobody actually believes them. Hardly anyone's life is improved by them. This moment is too inherently ridiculous to continue, and so it won't.
Carlson, known for his well-documented history of sharing personal views and statements that were widely thought of as controversial and inflammatory, was reportedly terminated by Rupert Murdoch himself. This is alleged to have stemmed from Carlson's coverage of the January 6th insurrection at the Capitol, as well as private messages described as criticizing Fox News management while using offensive language.
Carlson recounts a video showing a group of Trump guys surrounding an Antifa kid, and he says they started pounding the living crap out of him, 3 against 1. Tucker Carlson goes on, quote, "Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight."
Number 2, Jeffrey Toobin.
Hello, Allison.
It's been a while.
It has been a while, indeed.
I feel like we should address what's happened in the months since we've seen you, since some of our viewers may not know what has happened.
This author and CNN contributor has himself and the COVID-19 pandemic to blame for the egregious gaffe that found him dismissed from The New Yorker in November 2020. In a baffling move, Tubin was revealed to have exposed himself during a Zoom call with fellow New Yorker staffers and having engaged in, well, let's call it an act of self-love.
New Yorker has suspended the longtime writer. Tubin himself asked to be taken off the air at CNN while he deals with a, quote, personal issue. All say, what happens to Tubin now? His best-selling book about the O.J. Simpson trial, The Run of His Life, was the basis for the star-studded FX movie. Tubin had other books in development for Hollywood productions.
The CNN correspondent and legal analyst immediately issued an effusive apology, stating that I made an embarrassingly stupid mistake believing I was off camera. I apologize to my wife, family, friends, and coworkers. CNN forgave Tubin, and he returned to the network in June 2021, characterizing the incident as being deeply moronic and indefensible.
Have you ever thought about what it must have been like to be on the receiving end of that Zoom call?
Well, I haven't just thought about it. I've spoken to several of my former colleagues at The New Yorker about it, and, you know, they were shocked and appalled.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Matt Lauer.
Just moments ago, NBC News Chairman Andy Lack sent the following note to our organization. Dear colleagues, on Monday night, we received a detailed complaint from a colleague about inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace by Matt Lauer. It represented, after serious review, a clear violation of our company's standards.
Woof. Where do we even start with this one? Lauer was at one point the beloved co-host of NBC's Today, emerging as a trusted figure in news from the time of his 1997 promotion to the show. Lauer's popularity as a television host was reflected in his frequent cameos as himself in movies and television shows, seen as lending them an air of credibility.
Let me get to your discovery, Doctor, because...
This is for you. I signed it.
You're supposed to say the title and the publisher.
That's not going to happen.
Just say it.
No.
Just say the damn title.
Fine. Matt Lauer Can Suck It by Dr. Rick Marshall.
That came to a screeching halt in 2017 when Lauer became one of the most prominent public figures exposed by the Me Too movement. In an example of the quote-unquote Weinstein effect, Lauer's genteel on-screen personality was obliterated by disturbing allegations from female Today staffers, which included accusations of full-blown assault on Lauer's part.
Some of what is being said about me is untrue or mischaracterized, but there is enough truth in these stories to make me feel embarrassed and ashamed. I regret that my shame is now shared by the people I cherish dearly. Repairing the damage will take a lot of time and soul searching, and I'm committed to beginning that effort.
Which entry on our list shocked you the most? Be sure to let us know in the comments below.
There is no defense for my conduct. The only issue is what should be the consequences. And the New Yorker made one decision about the consequences. CNN made a different decision, fortunately, for which I'm very grateful.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.